Imagine you need to go to the doctor, but only 30,000 physicians across the country are properly trained to treat what you have to go for. How would this impact your family? Would you be able to afford to travel to where one of these doctors are located? These are all questions that the 21 million Americans that struggle with addiction have to ask themselves when considering getting proper treatment. Addiction changes the way that the brain works, which also changes what a person thinks, feels, says, and how they move. The brain also controls the rest of the organs within the human body. An addict's brain is rewired by the chemicals within the substance they are addicted to. These substances take over the pleasure and reward centers of the brain and cause panic and emotional damages when the substances aren't present. This makes finding and taking this substance the top priority for addicts, and it overpowers their feelings of empathy or nurturing that they may feel towards a person. This is why so many addicts struggle to maintain their relationships and tend to lash out on those who are closest to them. Despite these relationships being so important to help someone manage their addiction and to heal from it, the disregarding practices that most addicts have isn't the only thing that can drive a wedge between partners, children, and other family members. When someone is struggling with addiction, there are many financial hardships associated with it. The cost of inpatient rehab for 30 to 60 days can be between $12,000 and $60,000 on average. Although most insurances will help to cover the cost of rehabs, and there are centers that are free or low cost, the most accessible the institution is, the longer that the wait list to be treated there is. This is a problem when the financial impacts of addiction have already set in on an individual and their family before it is time to consider rehab. Those struggling with addiction typically do not realize they need help until they are in serious legal or financial trouble. Addicts struggle to hold a job because of the effects from their addiction and often experience gap in employment due to relapse and recovery cycles. Once someone is in recovery, they can finally start to enjoy the things that addiction had stolen from them, like birthdays, holidays, and events. When recovering from an addiction, it is essential for the individual to find ways to fill their free time, since substance abuse used to take up such a large portion of it. Apathy is a common relapse trigger for most people. There are support groups in place for people once they have left rehab to continue to help them, as well as the support of friends and family. This shows how, despite the common idea that addicts don't get better or are viewed as less than, are incorrect. By continuing to build the stigma around addiction, this will not help the people who are struggling. It is important to understand what can be triggering for someone recovering and what will help them. Triggers can include parties where people are drinking or taking drugs, the people that they used to take substances within the past, and specifically painful or uncomfortable situations. Things that can help someone who is recovering can include introducing them to a new hobby like painting or hiking, inclusive and positive sober events like family holidays, parties, or gatherings. The connection between addiction and physical, mental, and social health have been further studied and understood in recent years, and there is a huge push to help instead of harm those who are struggling through improved treatments, medicines, and decreasing the stigma that surrounds addiction and those who struggle with it. Thank you.